Welcome to our program, The Effective Manager. My name is CPA Dr. David Muturi, and our conversation today is going to be about managing change. Now, change is one of the constants in organizations and even in the general living, that there's always going to be some form of change at one time or another. And it is particularly important for organizations to be to be ready for changes, because changes would occur every so often, and it becomes necessary if the organization is to be able to achieve its objectives. Now, when you're leading change, or when you're the change manager, there are a few questions that you may need to ask yourself if you're to be able to navigate the change. Now, the very first question is to understand that within an organization, you'd have people who will possibly loosely referred to as thermostats and thermometers. You know, a thermostat regulates an environment. When it is too cold, it switches on so that the temperature can increase. When it is too hot, it switches off so that the temperatures can go down. So there are people within the organization who will regulate the environment. They will contribute positively towards creating the desired environment. Then there are those who will be like thermometers. They only report about the environment, but they will hardly contribute to any changes. And therefore, when you lead change, it helps to remember that regardless of how good the change would be, the people that you're leading will go through several stages, through several steps individually. And the speed within which that they are going to change will depend on a couple of things. It will depend, of course, with their attitude. It would depend on their prior experiences and even the tools that are going to be used for the purposes of changing their mind. So you'll find people who will be at the "I won't do it" stage. For them, they would be resisting the change, and they would feel that they don't want to do it. Then there are those people who will be at the next level, who will be feeling that they can't do it. It's not that they are refusing to do it, but they feel that they can't be able to do it. So they feel that they are limited in one way or another to bring about the desired change. Then there are those who will want to do it. There'll be those who would be at the level of, I want to do it. I want to effect the change. I want to bring about the change because I understand the change, or have now been convinced about the need to change. But you see, there is the wanting, and then there is a question of how do I do it? And the how do I do it is the next level. That is, after one has been convinced that they want to do it, then there'll be the how then do they do it. Then once they have been shown how they can be able to do it, they will move to the next level. And the next level is that they will try to do it. They would want to try to do it, and they will actually start doing it. Then once they start doing it, they will be able to transit to the next level of I can do it. And then once they transit to the level of I can do it, they will actually participate in effecting the change. They will participate in doing whatever it is necessary. And that is when they will discover that actually they have been able to do it. And that is the point of celebration, where they say, yes, we have been able to do it. So when you're a change manager, it serves well to remind yourself that the people that you're trying to engage in the change process will have to go through those processes. And at each of the stage in the change process, there'll be so many reasons that they will give for not changing or for not even trying to change. They will say, this is the way that we have always done it. You need not to be frustrated. You need to anticipate that. They will say, some of them will say it is too ambitious. Others will say that we don't have consensus. Others will say that this is not our policy. Others will give reasons like our boss would not like it. There'll be many reasons that will be given as to why the change cannot happen. So it is as well, when you're the change manager, to anticipate all those kind of reasons, all those kind of excuses for not effecting the change. And therefore, when you are prepared for them, then you'll have an appropriate answer, you'll have an appropriate intervention for each of the excuses that will be given. So regardless of the reason that you will be given, you need not to get frustrated about the change not happening. Now, when you lead that kind of a particularly a complex change that might be involving culture, that might be involving other issues, it helps to remember that for change to effectively happen, you need to combine a vision together with skills, incentives, resources, and the action plan. It is the combination of those items that will actually give you the change. And any absence of any one of them, you said you need vision. You need the vision, the reason why, where we want to get to. You need to have a narrative of what the change is going to bring about, the destination that we are traveling to, and being able to communicate that vision to the people that you are helping to change. Then once you've been able to give the vision, then you need to empower them with the skills, the necessary skills that are going to enable them to effect the change. And even for yourself, having the necessary skills, the tools necessary to enable you to change the mindset of the people that you're leading. And then you're going to require incentives. That is incentives in one form or another in terms of what is it in them, the people that you're leading in as far as the change is concerned. What is it going to bring about? And this does not mean that it is directly into the pockets, necessarily direct into the pockets of the people, but whatever benefits that will accrue as a result of the change. And then you need the necessary resources that are going to bring about the change. So once you have the vision, you have the skills, you have the incentives, and you have the resources, then you need an action plan. And that is how then you're going to be able to make that change. Now, when you do not have a vision, or where the vision is not clear, even if you have the other items, even if you have the skills, you have the incentives, you have the resources and the action plan, if the vision is not clearly communicated, you're only going to end up with confusion. That is, there's going to be confusion within the organization, within the department, because the vision is not very clearly understood. So it is very, very important to have the vision clearly communicated, clearly explained to the people so that you do not have confusion. Now, you may explain the vision very well, and you have the incentives, and you have the resources and the action plan, but the people do not have the skills that are necessary to make the change. Now, when the skills are missing, then what you're going to end up with is anxiety. That is, people are going to be anxious because they do not know, they do not have the skills to go about the change process. So the vision could have been clearly explained, the incentives are understood, the resources are in place, but the action plan is in place, but then they are not properly equipped with the necessary skills. And you as a change manager also, you're not properly equipped with the necessary skills. So what is going to happen is that you're going to have a lot of anxiety within the organization. Now, where you have the vision, it's clearly understood, and you have the skills you've been imparted, and we have the resources, and you have the action plan, but you do not have the incentives, or the incentives are not clearly understood, then what you're going to suffer from is resistance. Because unless it is clear to the employees, to the members of the organization, as to what benefit will accrue to them and to the organization when the change is brought about, then they're going to resist the change, because they would rather the status quo, because the status quo, they know what accrues to them and what accrues to the organization, and therefore they will not be willing to make the change. Now, you may have the vision, you've explained the vision, you have imparted the skills, and the incentives are clearly understood, and the action plan is in place, but you do not have resources. Now, when the resources are not availed, then what you're going to end up with is frustration, because they are willing to make the change, they understand the action plan, they understand the incentives, they have the skills and the vision is clear, but then they do not have the necessary resources to effect the change. Now, in the absence of resources, then what you're going to end up with is a frustration. Now, where you may have the vision clearly explained, the skills properly imparted, and the incentives together with the resources, but you do not have a proper action plan, then what you're going to end up with is a false start. So false start in the sense that because you do not have a clear plan, you will not, the change process will not go far. So to avoid the false start, to avoid the frustrations, to avoid resistance, to avoid anxiety, to avoid confusion, you need to have a proper mix of the vision, the skills, the resources, the incentives, and the action plan. The absence of any one of them will have the results of either bringing in confusion, bringing in anxiety, bringing in a resistance, bringing in frustration, bringing in false starts, or even a combination of any of the negative effects that we've spoken about. So it is important as a change manager to understand the necessary ingredients that will bring about the necessary change. Now, when you get to effecting the change, then how do you go about that process? Now, the very first thing that you will need if the change is to be effective is that you'll need to model the way. You'll need to clarify the values and lead by example. You set the example. So you model the way as a change champion, as a change leader. You have to lead by example, because you have clarified the values, the expected values that you need. You have clarified the example. You have clarified the way. And therefore, when you have clarified the way, you have to lead by example so that it can be seen that it is possible, because you are living that change that you have, that you're championing. The other important thing to do is to inspire a shared vision, a narrative, a vision of the future. What is there? How is it going to be after the change? So we are journeying together in this process. What do you anticipate at the end of it? Where is it that you're going to get into? That would have to be very clear, because like you have said, is one of the important ingredients of the change process. It also does well to challenge the process, to challenge the status quo. And when you challenge the status quo, then this brings an opportunity of innovation. It brings in an opportunity for novelty. That is, people can be able to bring in new ideas. They can be able to experiment and take risks. And the experimentation and the taking risk is in itself a great incentive, because the people will feel that they are being challenged to go beyond the normal call of duty, to try and see how things can be done in a different way. And this will bring about the desired change. The other important thing to do is to enable others to act, bring about collaboration. Self-determination collaboration, partnerships, so that the partnerships and the collaborations will bring diverse thoughts, will bring about diverse thinking, such that they can be able to experiment with different ways of doing things. And when they are encouraged to collaborate, when they are encouraged to partner, then different thinkings, different perspectives can be brought together. And if properly synthesized and distilled, then they can bring about very novel ideas and new ways of doing things. The other important thing also is to encourage the heart. Encouraging the heart by celebrating small victories, by recognizing the contributions by the various individuals, so that the heart can be encouraged by seeing that it is actually possible, it is actually doable. And when you're going through these processes, or when you're going through this change process, it is important to remember that the most powerful tool of changing the mind sets of people are the leadership tools, or what we call inspiration. That is, you inspire people by using the various leadership tools that are there. And one of the key leadership tools is storytelling. In the change process, you need to identify good, positive stories that will inspire the people to want to change and actually participate in the change process. The stories could be from within the organization, previous successes. It could be from other organizations and their successes. But it helps a lot to have a positive story that can be told, that can inspire, that can encourage the heart, so that when that story is shared and it is told several times, then it provides a source of encouragement. It is also important that it is a good leadership tool to persuade. To persuade, to have a narrative that appeals to the heart, a narrative of the reason why it is important to effect the change. A story, a narrative that combined with the story will provide a positive inspiration. And I talk about persuasion and appealing to the heart is, for example, a narrative about why the organization exists, a narrative about why it is important to change, a narrative about who would benefit from that kind of change and how that benefit would accrue. The other important leadership tool that will be very helpful in as far as effecting change is concerned are conversations. Conversations, encouraging conversations at par. That is encouraging feedback, relaxed conversation where feedback can be given in a relaxed manner, where the fears of the various participants of the change process can be brought out, that they would feel conversations that makes everybody feel safe, listened to, and appreciated, so that whatever misgivings that they may have in as far as the change process is concerned can be shared. And once you combine the storytelling, you combine the persuasion and the conversations and the role modeling which you have spoken about and the vision, then you find that it becomes very easy to inspire the people to want to change, because change cannot be effected through intimidation. In fact, intimidation is the lowest level of tools that you can use in as far as changing the mind of the people is concerned. The greatest tool that would help effect the change is inspiration. But when you go to the lowest level of intimidation, that is coercion, threat, you find that the change process is going to be slow, it's going to be painful, and it is most unlikely to be effective. Of course, you need the management tools, and you see the management tools, the strategic